and welcome back. Today we will be doing a recap on Love is Blind episode 7. So we will jump right into it. So back in the UK, Freddie and Catherine have gone shopping, and Freddie mentions that since he told Kat that he cheated in the past, that things have been a little tense. Catherine does seem to be a little annoyed with every little thing that Freddie does. She claims that she's not holding on to anything from the retreat. However, she does mention that she feels that he jokes too much. You might have been a little bit embarrassed by the fact that he's asked for a size 11 in some heels, but at the end of the day, he is just joking around. The guy's a funeral director. Let him have a little bit of fun in life. If you're dealing with death all day for a career, you need something to balance that out. So him having a fun personality is nothing, and I don't think his personality has changed from when you met him, so why is it now an issue? You're just trying to find fault with the man. Anyway, she also says that she's annoyed by the fact that Freddie said that if they were to go shopping together, that he has no problem sitting on the couch and letting her shop and waiting for her. Some of the guys do. You don't even want him next to you now, so why are you moaning when he says that he will sit down and let you shop in peace? He can't please you either way. Either he's right next to you or he's just there around in the area just waiting for you patiently. He never said that he was going to have an issue with it, so why have you got an issue with it? I don't understand. Anyway, Freddie mentions that he feels misunderstood. It's probably based on because of how he deals with things. He believes his personality a bit too much. I don't think your personality is that much. I haven't seen it to be like over the top. You're just having your fiance and not your friend. It's like, so because he's your fiance, can't joke around. Like, they love to have a little joke and do their little things. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your relationship or your relationship is less than because you have one party that likes to have jokes and has a fun personality. Like marriage, because that's kind of a foundation, and then you build in on there with the emotional and physical and all of that fun stuff. I don't understand to be your enemy. What is the problem? It's Catherine to his house, and she's surprised by what she sees. I think she was expecting a broken bachelor's pad where you can tell it's just the guy that lives there who hasn't given any thought to bring in a female counterpart into the house to live with him, and it's very far from that. And yes, he may not have his doors attached at the moment, but when you're looking at the property, it looks like it's a new build that he's just recently got, and the doors are basically the last thing to go on. Like, everything else seems to be fresh decorated, and I'm not seeing what the issue is. She says that he's a little bit bougie based on his furnishings. Yes, his bed, you wouldn't think that a man alone lives there. He's got a glittery mirror, doesn't think anything of it, he just likes it. Like, the man likes what he likes. Did you find any evidence of a female there? And besides, and the fact that she came in the house and said it smells nice as well. Come on now. He's on this blasted journey with you in the experiment. He's not even been in the house. I guess it might smell stale, but it's like you're expecting it to smell rank or something. And apologise to Freddie for her behaviour and being snappy, or at least she does start to, but then Freddie does somehow take over the apology. He does say that she doesn't need to apologise. He also apologises for his behaviour and how it may have led on to pee and such. The next day, he does surprise Catherine with his funeral attire. Man's looking good in his gear, and Catherine to go meet his family. And his family, they seem like they're very lovely. They were very warm and welcoming to Catherine. His brother, be happy to see him as well, but I think he was also trying to process everything because obviously he's not seen his brother in a while. Also hasn't spoke to him, but he does know that he was on a trip. Well, Freddie asks his family how they feel about him getting married, and they mention that they only want him to be happy and settled in life. That's all they could really ask for. At that point, Freddie does ask his brother Jack to be his best man, and you can see at that time Jack doesn't quite understand what's happening, and the mum does say he doesn't understand right now, but he will on the day, which is beautiful. And after that, they do have a little bit of an emotional moment. Like, there's a bit of tears in everybody's eyes. You couldn't really ask for anything more than that. And they ask Freddie how they are finding living together. And he does say like, it's fine, but sometimes with his personality it might grate on her nerves a little bit. And when he's saying this, you can see his sister is looking at Catherine like a certain type of way, because it seems she does. And he does explain the situation where his personality might be a bit much for Catherine, and that how basically he's a homebody and she is the type that loves to go out with her friends and may have a little bit of a bougie lifestyle, which she denies. Freddie even tries to make a point on saying that sometimes he doesn't feel good enough for Catherine, and the sister makes a valid point. Well, are you sure she's good enough for you? Because it's true. Like, I get what he's saying. You want to be good enough for your partner, you want to be enough for your partner, but at the same time they also need to be enough for you as well. It's a two-way thing. It can't just be you. No, you both need to be good enough for each other so that you can grow together as well. Anyway, Freddie does ask his sister what she thinks of Catherine, and the sister says she seems like a nice girl. Ollie and Demi, after they've got back to the UK, they've gone shopping because they are planning on cooking for a couple of Demi's friends that are coming to visit them at the apartment. While they are shopping, Ollie seems to be all over the place. He knows that they need to get certain ingredients, but he's picking up all these other random things that has nothing to do with the meal that they're going to cook, like picking up bananas and chocolate and was it a melon? I don't know. It was a fruit or vegetable, but he was commenting on how it looks, and you can see his attention span is basically zero at this point while he's out shopping. They're preparing food. Ollie seems to be getting a little overwhelmed, just a little bit. I think he's overthinking meeting her friends because he wants to make a good impression on them, obviously, and he does drop one of the avocados that he was trying to use for his is it vegan tacos that he was making, but it's fine. They had a little fun moment with it. There was no one making him feel awkward about the fact that he was being a little clumsy in that moment, which is fine. Demi's friends arrive and we are introduced to James and Jasmine in the pod setting that she was retreating into her shell. She with who she had feelings for or who she was connecting with while she was in there. And her friends asked if there was any overlaps on people liking the same person, and it's at this point that Demi does mention that Ollie did have a connection with Catherine, who she said at that time was her close friend. So I'm guessing that at this time she isn't. I wonder what's happened there. Anyway, that's what she has said, and Ollie admits yes, there was something with Catherine, but his connection with Demi was stronger, and that's what he went with, and he is happy with his decision, basically. James asks if they spoke about their future, and that's when it's mentioned that yes, they did. They spoke about how they would go about in regards to kids. Jasmine mentions that she thinks being cute, and James just gives them some advice. Take their time, there's no rush. Obviously you want them to get to know each other, and we know that there's a short span of time before these weddings are going to occur, but at the same time that doesn't mean that you should stop trying to learn each other, make sure you're compatible, make sure that this is actually what you want, because at the end of the day you're basically fast tracking everything. Not saying that it can't happen. We've seen there's many people that have met each other for not long, probably less time than these guys, and have had a happy marriage. So it's not that it can't happen, it's just rare that it does, but that's what the experiment is for as well. So we will see how it goes. Anyway, her friends have said that so far they do approve of Ollie. They actually really like him, but they will keep looking out, making sure that obviously that Demi's okay and that he's treating her well. So Ollie does also mention that he does see himself being around them in the future, which is good, because like, if you're planning, and obviously you're both going to have to immerse each other in each other's lives and the people that they are with all the time. So if he's saying that he can see himself hanging around them, it seems they had a good rapport with the short meeting that they did have. The next day they are talking, and it's at this point that Ollie does bring up the fact that he does have ADHD, because Jasmine did say that she has noticed that with some of his behaviors, like his pacing and him being very impulsive, and that kind of opens up the door for Ollie to mention this, and it's nice that he feels comfortable enough with her to say this, considering he did say that only 3 people really knows about him having ADHD, and he lets us know that he actually has a severe case of ADHD, which does manifest in his daily life and impact how he does things. Because obviously he's saying that simple tasks that we would do, sometimes he has to work his way up to it. It may take him a bit longer to get through it, and how he's never once finished a book. So just because he has ADHD, and he does say that it is a daily struggle, he's not let that set him back in life in what he wants to do and how he comes across to people at the same time. Anyway, she does bring up the fact that he does articulate well, and that she had loved the letter that he had written, and she basically let him know that it doesn't matter that it might have taken you a bit longer than it may have taken some of the other guys' letters to whoever they was proposing to. She loved the letter and she appreciates the effort, basically. And she also says that she finds him opening up to her to be very beautiful. Bobby and Jasmine, they are also having their little meal, and Bobby's telling Jasmine that since they've got back, that basically he's been trying not to be on the phone as much as he would normally. And Jasmine mentions how she can be a little bit insecure in regards to social media usage. She used to be the type of girl that would be like, who are you following? Whose pictures are you liking? Like, I get that something must have happened with her exes to make her that way, but you can't also bring that into future relationships, because otherwise you're just going to have a repeat of the same thing, and you may actually have a good guy that doesn't do any of the things, but because of the way you're accusing him of doing these things, or making him feel like, well, bad about being a good guy and that nothing he does is good enough, it's not going to be good for the relationship. So it's nice that she's admitted this, but hopefully she can work on this as well, because it didn't take her long to bring up his YouTube video that she did say that she searched for, and she's presenting it to him like he's done something, and he's just like, well, it's not like I was trying to hide it. It was something he would have seen eventually, and it was something that he'd done 2 years ago. It's not something he's just done. I didn't see the purpose of the video even being brought up like that, because he's a guy in a music video. Like, what do you expect? Heck, even women do the same thing with guys. It's a music video. Unless you have seen on his social media or anything him hanging around with the girl and having a relationship with the video girl afterwards, do not, like, it's not a thing. It's just like if you're going out with someone that acts, like, at some point they may have a scene where they have to kiss their co-star. Are you going to take that to heart and be like, oh, you cheated? If you understand the profession and you're comfortable with it, then you should be comfortable with some of the things that comes with it, and not feel like they are doing something wrong. They need to have that discussion anyway, I guess, on what she's comfortable with. Even if it comes to a thing where she's, maybe not actually, I was going to say maybe she could say that she'll help him with future music videos on his casting, but that might be the wrong thing. It might just go left. But she needs to at least be comfortable with his career and what that entails, basically. Anyway, Bobby doesn't think too much of it as such. He does say that he is happy that she had brought it up and that they can be open about stuff like that, because again, that's it all boils down to how you communicate with your partner in things that you will not tolerate and what makes you uncomfortable as well. And he does say that he is proud to call her his fiance and that he wants to make her feel comfortable. Tom and Maria also out for a meal. It seems like everybody was just out for a meal when they was doing their back in the UK shoot. Anyway, they are talking about when they had butted heads, when they were talking about the job talk the previous night, with Tom basically looking down on Maria's career as a makeup artist. And Maria says that she won't hold it against Tom. She is going to let it go. And that's when they start to begin talking about Tom meeting her family. She does ask that he be respectful to her family, her culture, and she does mention that in her culture they don't really do PDA, and yes, she may have been doing that with Tom since they've left, but it's something that he shouldn't do while around her family. It's not something that is found respectable in that regards. And Tom then at that point asks if she finds that her culture impacts her dating life, which is a genuine question, and it would, because if there's certain things that you can't do in public with someone that's courting you, then yes, it's going to affect your dating life, because some people aren't going to be respectful of your culture, so it limits your options. You want to be with someone that's comfortable with your culture, doesn't oppose it, and is happy to go with, not the stipulations, but go with what is expected of a partner, of someone that's in a specific culture and how they go about things. You want them to be respectable, or respect your culture and what that entails, I guess. Anyway, Maria says that her dad would have loved Tom, and she does get emotional bringing up her dad. So Tom does mention that he is nervous to meet Maria's family, which is understandable. When Tom and Maria go to visit her family, they do seem very welcoming and happy to see him. And they ask about their experience in the pods and what drew them to each other, basically. And her sister tells Tom about how they were being supportive of Maria and her decision to take part in the experiment. And she does start to cry and get emotional, because again, I think they're bringing up the father. You can see, even though it may have happened a couple of years ago, the family is still dealing with the grief of losing a father, especially because they didn't get to say goodbye to him, considering he passed while out visiting family in Morocco. So it's going to hit them a bit harder, and it may take them a little bit longer to get over it, or at least be able to talk about the dad without crying, I should say. Maria also says in front of the family and Tom that even though they see both of them there together, it does not mean 100% that they're going to get married. Obviously, they're still feeling it out, seeing if this is what they really want, and no one can blame them. Just because you've taken part on the show and you've gone up to at this point, if you're seeing marriage as a lifelong thing and you're not one of them ones that's like, oh well, I could just get divorced, I can get another partner, then yes, you want to make sure that the person that you intend to spend the rest of your life with is the one. They also bring up the fact of Tom being a bit judgmental in front of me, and shortly after that Tom does go to speak to Maria's sister in the kitchen, and she asks if he feels like he has something that he has to work on, and he says yes. Obviously there's going to be some things that he's going to need to work on. He's not denying that there may be some things that may not work, and it's all about compromise, basically. And that conversation seems to go well, and then he then has a one-on-one conversation with Maria's mum, and Tom does ask for Maria's mum's blessing, which she does give, but she does also mention that how she does have some apprehension, as obviously they've not known each other long. But I guess she does understand, because I think as well with some, possibly in their culture, I may be wrong, but we know in some cultures they do have arranged marriages, even if it's the thing of the family or someone in your family knows of the family. Obviously we know that sometimes those arrangements, you may not have met the person until your engagement's been set up and you're getting married in such and such dates. So it's not unheard of. Obviously there's going to be some apprehension because she knows nothing about Tom and his family. She don't know his values. So that is understandable. Benaya and Nicole. So Benaya is saging the apartment. Apparently Nicole went out and got up early, so she's gone to the gym, and when she's come back she's found my guy saging the apartment. Guess he's trying to get rid of that bad juju. Anyway, Benaya asks what's the best way to greet Nicole's parents, because obviously they're coming to visit them to have a meal and meet Benaya as well. Nicole's saying that she can give them a hug, and the hug that she was trying to go on with, he was like, no, I can't do that to your dad. Which is fair enough, but at least they could joke about it and have a fun time. No one's getting frustrated with the other for coming out with that little joke. And Nicole is happy to show off Benaya to her parents, and when they do arrive and they're eating, her dad does ask Benaya how he got involved in the experiment. Nicole also tells them that she might be getting married, and that they won't know if they will actually get married until the wedding day. Obviously there was, it might have felt a certain type of way a little at first, considering she's been married previously, but they basically took the fiance or the engaged bride. Her dad does tell them to basically take the marriage one day at a time, step by step. And Nicole is appreciative of their support, because she did say it could go one of two ways. The parents seem to like Benaya, and they say that her dad thinks that he is a good man. Nicole does say that she would also be devastated if it doesn't work out. But from what we've seen so far, they seem to be very lovey-dovey. I don't see them not working out unless it was all for show. But I guess time will tell, and we will find out at the reunion how that has gone. Or I should say with the marriage. Anyway, Stephen and Sabrina, they on their way to go meet Stephen's best friend and his brother. And Sabrina is to meet them. Stephen admits that his friends know nothing about the experiment. I can't remember, but I think he also said they didn't even know he went on the experiment. They just known that he's gone away for a time, but that's about all they know. So when they do meet up, he does end up telling them about the experiment and how him and Sabrina are now engaged. And obviously they are a little shocked and surprised, and one of his friends says that he doesn't really understand. For himself personally, it took him 5 years to get engaged and 2 years to marry his wife, and he obviously knew her a lot longer. But again, other people move at different strokes for different folks. They move at their own pace. So just because it took you a while to get round to proposal and marriage doesn't mean that it's going to apply for everybody else. Anyway, they begin talking about their living arrangements, obviously because Stephen lives in London and Sabrina lives in Belfast. Stephen tells them as well that they had a deeper than what he's ever experienced before in his past relationships. And Sabrina mentions about how she had quit her job and that she plans on becoming a consultant so that she can then travel between London and Belfast. So that seems to be it for that recap. Obviously, they're back in the UK. Everyone is meeting their partners, friends and families, and we can see that some of them are apprehensive, but at the end of the day, everyone so far be pretty welcoming and open to the idea of their loved one getting married to someone that's basically a stranger to them, and they are happy to go along with the process. Obviously they just want their person to be happy. They don't want them to get hurt. So they are being supportive, but at the same time, it seems they are keeping an eye on the new person that's in their life. So we will see what happens on the next episode. I hope you guys will stay tuned for that one as well. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.